It's Friday, April 24th, 2026. All right, we'll start out by letting you know if you want to support the show, you can go to supportourshow.com. Strange programming note up front, because this is one of those cases where I realize that I've been I've been thinking a certain way for a very long time in a way that never made sense to begin with and really doesn't apply, and yet has been a kind of invisible guardrail of sorts that has existed in my brain for, well, ever since I started the late night series. So there's late night coming out in May. And I, by default, always schedule every late night that I do, no matter who it is, unless I get a very specific time definition. I always make them 2 hours. And that's not really because I expect anybody to actually talk for 2 hours. In the early days, and if people have listened for long enough, you may remember that I used to break the late nights up into 45-minute pieces. Now, that was way in the beginning when storage was even tighter because we were on not the lowest plan, but the next lowest plan. And so that was a way to kind of keep everything. I mean, we were right on the edge of the guardrails of the highway for a long time, where I was literally, 15 minutes before post, I was waiting for the other thing to clear the space so I could upload the new one, that type of thing. So I set that, and that's why I broke them up into pieces, because then the storage would space out a little bit better. So it always had this idea of, 45-minute chunks. And you do 2 hours, because that way if the person's a little late, or you're chatting a little bit before or after or whatever, you give yourself a little bit of breathing room. You don't want it to be 90 minutes, set in stone. It's just never a good idea. You want some padding. Otherwise, it just becomes very logistically tough. So I had this concept in my head of, you do the 2 hours, you aim for 90 minutes, right? And within that, not that this is ever stated anywhere, and it doesn't even correspond to anything that I can think of now. Maybe it did way back when this little canvas of a way of doing things started in my brain. But I had this idea that if it's less than an hour, don't post it. A late night should be at least an hour. There is anything that I can remember that ever says that's a requirement of any kind. I think there was one late night that was short of an hour. It might have been 45 minutes. But that was a one-off. I always kind of had this idea in my head, well, if it's less than an hour, it's not a late night. You don't want to post it. You want it to be an hour or more. Again, nobody ever said that to me that I can recall. I never read it anywhere. It was never a thing. Maybe it was born of the... Well, no, it wouldn't be. You wouldn't want it to be less. That wouldn't make sense with the storage thing. It must have just been this contrivance.
Decided that's what it was.
I guess I just
realized
decided.
Your decision or not. It just happened.
Yeah. And so it's just kind of been there the whole time. So the late night for next month is with Andy Last, who's been on the show many times, of Beyond Synth. And so, I said, I scheduled the 2 hour. But again, I didn't talk to him. And then I had this thing in my head about it has to be at least an hour or you're not going to post it. Right? So, again, you don't think about these things. When you have a habit of doing something, you don't communicate it. You don't really think about it.
Well, there's no one to communicate it with.
Anybody.
It's just you.
Right. And I don't tell. It's not like he got on. I'm like, hey, do you have at least an hour? Because I like to do at least an hour. I don't say that because I just don't think about it. It's sort of an automatic for me. So I didn't think about it. Right. So going along, going along, going along. And we get to the point where it's winding up. And I look at the clock. And I'm like, 4.5 hours. What am I going to do with this? So what I'm going to do, because this is now the opposite problem, way past the hour mark. So I'm going to trim it down. We actually hit a point where it could have ended at about the 3-hour mark. And then we went on for Doctor Who and the Terminator for about 90 minutes.
And you give me guff.
Yeah, I know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the 3-hour version on the regular thing, the regular post. And then I'm going to put that 90 minutes or so extra. It was actually more like an hour 45, but whatever. The extra bit is going to go on to Patreon on the free tier. So this is not mining for money, but we've just talked about the storage thing like 2 shows ago. So to put a 4.5 hour show there, when I know I have another late night coming up after this one, and then another one that's 4 hours plus, because that's me and Doug. So I'm going to put the extended, I'm not going to call it extended, I'm going to call it the bonus content into the Patreon. So the meat of the thing, the 3-hour part, that's really kind of a wide-ranging thing. It's mostly about, it's really mostly about AI, but also movies. That's going to go onto the regular feed, but then, and that will also be in the Patreon, of course. But then the Doctor Who Terminator bit, where we're talking about how to make Terminator into a horror movie, that'll be in the Patreon, but it'll be on the free level. So if you're already a Patreon member, it'll be there. If you're not, you can join the free level. There is no monetary requirement. But yes, it was kind of extraordinary because I was sitting there going, okay, yeah, it's probably be 90 minutes, 4.5 hours. But I guess on his show now, because he's doing a lot of stuff, he's trying to build a video game. And so he's not releasing as many of his shows, and those shows are kind of his way of talking through ideas. And so he's had this kind of backlog of just talking. And especially on my show, like on his, he has to do a lot of editing because he puts music in, whereas in ours, there is no editing. So there's no work for him. So it's a lot easier for him to go on because he doesn't have to. I think he has the thing that a lot of people who do editing do, where every 5 minutes they're talking, they know that's X amount of time editing. And so they sort of consciously are trying to keep things a little bit concise because they know that every block of time is X multiplying number of editing time that has to be done. Whereas when you're on somebody else's show and you don't have to do anything, those constraints float away. So anyway, I'm just explaining why you're going to see a 3-hour or so hour show and think that's the whole thing. Well, no, there's a whole other chunk that's going to be in the Patreon side. So I'll put a reminder when I do the intro for that, or maybe the outro, whatever it is for the actual show. But just to let people know, that's why. So anyway.
Okay.
That's it as far as the show notes stuff. Other than that is I don't know, whatever. I don't care. I'll just play this clip for no reason.
I've been waiting for you.
Because it's just fun for me. That's all I have as an opener. That's it. I have nothing else.
An opener. Jesus, I didn't even think about it. Well,
what? Before we talk
Actually,
about the movies.
I can talk about the fact that I showed my son the Batman. There was a kind of like just a perfect set of events where we ended up, it was just the two of us. And I gave him the option between the Batman and RoboCop. Exactly. And you know what I did too? When that scene popped up and I heard it coming, like I knew it was coming.
I'm playing the whole clip. If you want to talk, you can, but the whole clip's playing because I never need an excuse to play this.
No, it's fine. When I knew that scene was coming, I specifically boosted the volume up.
Yeah.
Someone's like, "Why are you putting the volume up?" I'm like, "Oh, I can't go hear.
I can't hear. There's a really important dialogue bit coming up, so lean forward, because it's easy to miss."
And the next thing we hear is just, yeah. So, but it's funny though, because that's now the third time I've seen that 3-hour fucking movie, and you know what? I gotta say, I still think that it's I don't want to say it's my. No, it, it's definitely the closest to my Batman there is. I mean, I still love it. I still think it's a remarkable Batman movie. I mean, I gotta put it right up there with Keaton. Still, because I watched the Keaton Batman. That was the Keaton Batman. The Keaton Batman was the Batman of my youth, right? So like that, very sensitive to that. But this was so well done. I mean, and it's still so well done. And I realized this is the first time I've watched it on a big screen, because I watched it on my computer twice. I have a pretty big screen, but like I watched it on like the big TV screen with like the big speakers and everything like that. And you know what? It looks even better. So yeah, it was funny too, because my son's got a thing for continuity. So he's like, "Is this the new?" He's like, "Is this the new Batman?" He's like, "Is this the Batman that's gonna be running around with a new Superman?" And I was like, "No. This is an Elseworlds." And he was like, "What?" And I had to explain to what Elseworlds was. Like, this is a whole other Batman that exists in his own universe, in his own pocket universe now. James Gunn is going to have his own Batman at some point, so we'll see what happens with that. Wouldn't it be funny, too, if James Gunn's Batman was just trash by comparison? So, yeah, it still holds up for me. I still like it. I still think it's great. Even though most often, if I see a movie is 3 hours long, I still go, ugh, that's a lot of movie. But with this thing, it's like, and especially since when they catch the Riddler, my son realized there was still like, I think there was still like 40 minutes of the movie or something like that. And he goes, what the hell else are they going to do? And I was like, oh, there's more. Don't you worry. There's more going on. So, yeah. Picked it over RoboCop. I thought that was funny. Yeah, I find
my reply to you was, yeah, it holds up, and that's exactly why I said it. It does. I've watched it now.
Yeah, but you know what? I think RoboCop holds
6
up
times,
too,
7 times. No, I agree it does, but no, RoboCop is its own thing. We
classic.
We haven't had that many interpretations of RoboCop.
Yeah.
We've had one remake. I mean, I don't count the TV series stuff because they were doing completely different things.
Yes,
so
and they were using
the
same aesthetic as well.
That's what I mean. Is we really haven't seen a lot of variation on RoboCop the way Batman. I mean, you know what? There's been a version of Batman for everybody.
Now, you know what? That's a really interesting statement you've just made, because I just realized maybe that's the problem with Star Wars. Maybe that rather than just to keep bricking on top of what's already there, right? Maybe it's time to just start over.
Okay, all right. So this is a very thank you. I appreciate you doing an unknowing preface for the next late night, because that's exactly what I said. Because in the Doctor Who segment, because he is a hardcore Doctor Who fan.
Oh, so he's probably not too happy with where things have ended.
No, what we were talking about, we got into Star Wars and we got into Doctor Who. One of the things that we said was we both had a similar complete and utter miscalculation. He said and I said, his thing was, if you'd asked me before the Eccleston series came out, if I wanted Doctor Who to like reference all the old stuff and have all the old enemies, I would have absolutely said yes, 100%. And now that they've done it, I hate it. And my thing was, yeah, I was like that before The Phantom Menace. I thought George Lucas can do nothing but make this series great, and I hope they just keep talking about Darth Vader. And we were both really wrong, and at this point, we want them to get the fuck away from the shit that defined it.
Well, that's
as far as possible. Just leave it behind.
I thought The Mandalorian was fun because they went off in their own direction. It's just
it was in season 1.
Yeah, but then they felt the need to bring Luke back into it, which honestly I didn't mind.
Yeah.
But
I know you don't. I do.
I know what you're talking about, and I think the best way to do this, and which takes a very even hand, is to say, hey, let's jettison like 75% of the old stuff, and then keep 25% of it on the side. Wait for it. Build on it. Don't just bring it back constantly.
Here's what has to happen for that to happen.
Yeah.
They have to lose so much money they dump it. There is no way.
Oh, no.
Star Wars makes money, they'll ever get anywhere near that.
I understand. This is the same reason why they kept making those horrible Resident Evil movies. Because they made money. But I'm just saying, story-wise, right? Outside of the money, story-wise, the way I would do it to not lose the past, but to move forward, is to basically say, yeah, well, let's get rid of most of this. I mean, like, listen,
Oh, sure.
we're done with the Cybermen. We've done the Cybermen to death. You know, put the Daleks away for a couple years at least. We don't need to see the Master for a while.
That is, yet again, a point I made. I said that one Dalek episode where there's just the one left, I said if that had really been the end of them, that episode would be held up. If that had truly been the end of the Daleks for a long time, let's say a decade, that we never saw them again, after that episode, people would talk about that episode as one of the classics of all time.
I know, but
because it would have been such a perfect ending for that.
But the problem is that no money-making edifice wants to leave money on the table, and when they look at these things, they see it as money on the table. Wait a minute, but we need to put, it's the whole Batman movies. Going back to Batman, used to have one villain, right? Then all of a sudden they were like, no, more villains, more attention, more toys. So then they started having two villains, right? And this last Batman movie that I do love, The Batman, which is a very not toy-friendly Batman, let's be very clear. But Joker's in there, Riddler's in there, Penguin's in there, Catwoman's in there. Like, it's a ton of them, And you don't notice because they're not in their rainbow bright, like, comic book color scheme. Right? And luckily the Joker is just like an unnecessary stupid cameo at the end. Right? But like, I mean, the Joel Schumacher movies, they used to hit you over the head with those fucking villains. And that's the thing, is that it's very hard. I mean, we've always said this. It's very hard for storytelling and money making to see eye to eye. And sometimes the lack of money can push a storyteller to do interesting things. Because very often, we've both found this, that when a director is given carte blanche and a ton of money, it's usually when they fuck something up.
Sure.
If you can do whatever you want. And this very often happens with, like, a director who does a really good movie. Who was the guy who did the Fantastic Four movie that was so bad, like, they didn't even want to release it?
Trank? Josh Trank?
Or something like that. Yeah. What did he make before that? Because he was supposed to direct a Star Wars movie, and they took that away from him too.
Well, after that, that's been his thing where he keeps saying, no, it's really, the one I made is really good. They screwed it up, and maybe, but
so
hard to say.
But also, you know what? Listen, maybe also the thing is moving on. Maybe we need to move on from all these story worlds because that's the thing is they want us to live in these worlds, but I always felt these worlds are to be visited, experienced, and then left.
Yeah.
Listen, I love Dragonlance. I read all those books. I haven't gone back to them. I haven't reread them in many, 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 many years. I don't plan to go back to them. I have a copy of them, and I hold on to them, and it's almost like a weird sort of... I guess it's like keeping a copy of the Bible, that's the important thing from my youth. You can't really find these paperbacks anymore. I love having them. I love knowing them that they're there, but I don't need to go back to that world because that world was there when I needed it. And I'm afraid that if I go back now as a much older man, it won't look the same, And I think that's what happens with a lot of this stuff, which is like Star Wars. Listen, my son loves Star Wars. Why? Because he's 14. He's loved Star Wars since he was young. He's 14. This stuff works for him. There's a lot of Star Wars I like that, he's okay with, and there's a lot of Star Wars that he likes that I'm like, oh, come on. Like, you know what? Listen, we never watched the sequel. If we had, he probably would have enjoyed it, and I probably wouldn't have. And it's that kind of thing where there's a lot of this media that isn't made for us anymore, So we have to look at it, I think, and go, yeah, I'm not the target audience. Like, why does Doctor Who not work for us? Because it's not being made for us. And same with all this other stuff. Now, that doesn't necessarily excuse it, but if they're specifically making it for not us, and we watch it and we go, why is this so bad? Then they're sitting at it going, success! The problem is when nobody likes it. But as you said, they're still making money. People are still going to see it. People are still enjoying it. There is still a percentage, enough of people that maintain the direction the stuff is going to, because it's not designed for us. This is why in comics, some of my favorite stories were the Elseworlds, because those were one-shots that were allowed to do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
And I just think, maybe this is kind of a Buddhist mindset, but I think if I don't like it, I'll just move on. And maybe one day they'll do something and I'll catch a bit of it and I'll be like, oh, that's cool, and then I'll just keep going. Like this, if they don't make another Batman movie with Matt Reeves, right? This is the only one they make with him. It's still great. I don't need another one. He did a really great job. In the same way that, like, the first Michael Keaton Batman is something really unique. And the second one, the Batman Returns, is miraculously pretty good. But I don't really like that Penguin. I never did. It was always...
No.
Just too much. But that Catwoman... Yep. Ooh, love that Catwoman. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if the second Batman had never happened with Tim Burton, I'd still have that first one. It's pretty damn good. And, like, that one kind of lives in my heart. And, like, you go back to other franchises, right? Like, the Alien Xenomorph franchise, right? Alien's pretty good. Aliens is fucking awesome. Alien 3, I have come to... the director's actual... Closest to the director's cut, I have a profound amount of respect for. And even Alien 4, I'm kind of like, well, it's a bastard of Firefly. It's interesting, but not good. And then everything after that, I'm like, why did we keep going? Like... I have a lot of respect and disrespect in equal terms for authors who never move beyond a certain kind of genre. So, like, Terry Pratchett, I have a lot of respect for Terry Pratchett because though everything happens in Discworld, he's telling you many different stories. And some of them are more dramatic and some of them are more funny, and like, but they're all in his Discworld. And I don't have a problem with that. He built a world, it works. He told you lots of different stories in it, right? And he also wrote other books that have nothing to do with Discworld that were very good. I mean, he wrote Good Omens. He wrote The Long Earth, which I think is a fucking amazing book about parallel dimensions. But then you get someone like Lee Pace, who wrote the Reacher series, right? And he wrote like 17 of them. And they're all just about this character, Reacher. Now, here's the thing. I respect the guy because he made a fucking ton of money. But I kind of...
Just so no one's confused, what you meant to say was Lee Child. Lee Pace.
Lee Child, sorry, Lee Child, not Lee Pace. Lee Child is the author. I'm sorry.
I just want people to look up Lee Pace and be like, wow, that author is in great shape.
Thank you for that, yeah. Lee Child, yeah. So Lee Child, like I said, I respect him, but I also disrespect because it's like, well, you never did anything else. Like, you basically have this one character, and then you just kept writing, like, mysteries for him, right? And that was your thing. That's all, and so I respect him because he's a successful writer, but I also kind of, my brain's almost like lack of imagination because I want you to go do more. Like, David Drake is an author that I really enjoy, and I like the fact that though everything of his is violence was his theme, he did a lot of weird, different sci-fi. He did, like, space naval shit, and he did, like, military stuff on the ground, and he did fantasy books, and then he did that weird Roman book where they crucify the aliens, and, like, he was always a kind of military sci-fi, but he tried a lot of variations. I mean, Jesus, he did a book that was a future sci-fi version of The Odyssey, which I thought was a lot of fun. So, I like that. I like when an author tries to do things. Stephen King is fantastic because he does a lot of different shit. I mean, motherfucker wrote Shawshank Redemption. Like, he's written a lot of different books. Is a lot of his stuff horror? Yes, but even within that horror, it's not always the same thing. One book is about a plague. Another book is about, weird psychic powers. Another book is about, was Borderline Fantasy, which is the Dark Tower series, right? I like that. I like that a lot. And amazingly, Stephen King is also very successful. I mean, he's kind of the golden whammy, isn't he? Successful, and he wrote lots of different shit. So yeah, and like, I don't think George Lucas. I mean, he said that he said this himself in an interview. He never intended to have to make more Star Wars movies. He made his 3, and then he was a movie guy. He wanted to go do other shit. It's just that nobody wanted him to do anything else. Star Wars was the cash cow, and the theaters were like, the studios were like, "Hey, can you make more Star Wars movies? That's great. You want to do this other movie, but we want more Star Wars movies. Oh, you want to do a, I don't know. You want to do a car movie or something? That's cool, but we want you to do more Star Wars movies." Like, I can see how that would annoy the shit out of you, especially if they want you to be lead child, but you're actually, Stephen King or David Drake. I find that must be, if not, I mean, even Arthur Conan Doyle got tired of fucking Sherlock Holmes. He fucking tried to kill the character so he wouldn't have to write any more stories about him. And then they were like, "No, bring him back." So, and to some degree, I mean, it's the demand too. There's people who want to nestle into a comforting, welcoming fantasy world and stay there, and then get sad when there's no more books. Drake's Leary series is like, I think it was like 15 books or something like that. No, it's like maybe 12. I was sad when I finished those. They were a lot of fun. And then I went to read other things, I walked away. So I think sometimes maybe it's us. Maybe it's just the fact that we have to accept that this stuff isn't for us and that we need to just move on. And maybe studios will not learn themselves to move on until we move on. Because as long as there's somebody who's willing to like curl up into the welcoming, familiar nature of whatever, they'll just keep doing it. They'll be like, "Hey, it's a new episode of Doctor Who. Guess what? The Daleks are back." Ha 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 ha. And you're like, "Well, they never really left, did they?" Yeah. I mean, stuff changes. Stuff changes. But it doesn't change fast enough. And the way they tell the stories is different too. I mean, if you watch, the first Star Wars, if you watch New Hope and then you watch, what's the last good Star Wars thing that they did recently? Is it Mandalorian?
I would say it was Star Wars Visions, but that's animated. So if you're talking about live action,
yeah,
then it probably would be the first season of Mandalorian.
And the thing is, if you watch Mandalorian and you watch New Hope, I mean, there is a difference. There's a difference in the storytelling. There's a different pacing. There's a different directors. I mean, this is a different project. It's got different priorities. It's just that if they played in the Star Wars universe, but didn't always get sucked back into the whole Skywalker shit, I think that there'd be a lot more interesting storytelling. Because then it's like Discworld, where you're like, okay, well, we're in Discworld, and we know these people. We know all the people in this universe, but they're different stories going in different directions. Like the... have you ever read the Discworld books?
Are those the ones that the Night Watch thing is part of?
Yes, they are.
Okay, I've read that one. The one that you told me about the Night Watch guys, which I can't remember the name of.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and those guys, I think there are like 3 of them in different capacities. But like, there's a character of the Wizarding Tower has an orangutan who's the librarian, right? He gets turned into an orangutan by a sorcerer. He's in and out of several books. He's never a main character. Sometimes he's in a book for like 2 pages. But like, he kind of comes in and out. And then when you see him in the books, you're like, "Hey, it's the I know this character." But they're just passing through. They're not important. It's just filling out the world. And I like that. I like that's done. I mean, if they did that with Star Wars to some degree, where they were like, "Hey, these characters are important, but they're not important in the story." You know what I mean? Like, if someone bumped into Luke Skywalker in a bar and was like, "Hey, is that weird fucking Jedi guy?" And they're like, "I don't know. We have business elsewhere. Let's go." It's just they can't do that. It was one thing. It was one thing to have Luke in that episode of The Mandalorian, but then when they brought him into like Book of Boba Fett, is that where he was? Where like the Mandalorian goes and gets the kid? Is that when didn't they shove that into Book of Boba Fett? Can't remember now.
I don't even remember. I forgot.
Yeah, but I
most
was
of it.
like, yeah, you know what? I don't know how necessary this is. I mean, you have to give you have to let everybody know that Grogu didn't stay because he's not there when the sequels happen. But yeah. Or you know what? Recast everybody and do it differently. Or, I mean, I was telling my kids how some of my favorite Star Wars sequels are the graphic. I mean, it's the books, but I love the graphic novels they did with Luke and Leia fighting all the clones of the Emperor, and Luke slowly getting more Darth Vader-y, and all the Mara Jade shit. I mean, the expanded universe. Honestly, I think the expanded literary graphic novel universe did a really good job of filling out the Star Wars universe in an interesting way. And I remember reading some. What's that?
Yeah. No, I agree. It's funny. I just read something about the Mara Jade thing, about how everybody's been told they can't touch that character, which makes a lot of people think they must be doing something with her because no, not even Timothy Zahn, who invented the character, he wanted to do a new book, I think, with her, and Disney was like, no, nobody can touch Mara Jade. And the only reason you would think they would do that is if they were planning to use her in something.
They can't do anything with her because unless they're going to do a Luke Skywalker series, which
no. You could do a Mara Jade series where she could just be working for the Emperor. Look, you could do it. See,
right.
This is what you could do an entire Mara Jade series where you never see anybody but her, because she was the Emperor's hand for some amount of time. I don't even know if it was ever defined, right?
Yeah.
So it's just her doing missions and realizing the Empire is bad. Very similar to Mandalorian season 1, where she gets a message saying the Emperor says go here, but you never see him. It's a message, and her robot buddy, because of course there's going to have to be a robot buddy because there has to be a toy to sell. And I don't think they'll give her a little Yoda. So she would have a little cute robot called Bibu57, and he would be like, "Oh, Mara, Emperor says go do this," because they'd have to give it some cutesy bullshit thing, or he'd have to be or be Brian Blessed screaming in the background somewhere, "Mara Jade, the Emperor." It's going to be something where you can make it the cute thing.
Jade is alive.
Jade alive? Yes, exactly. And then she goes and she's going around, and it's, at first it seems like she's killing adults and it seems fine. Then, that one, I don't know how bad that person was. And then it's like, oh, wipe out there's a sedition camp on this rebel moon. And she goes and it's all kids and she burns them all alive. And then it's like, I don't know if the Emperor is a good person.
Maybe killing children is bad.
But that's a series. I would be interested in that. I don't need to see anything from the original stuff.
Did you see my amazing droid that I sent you?
Where'd you send it?
I sent it to the chat here.
It doesn't. I think I had the notifications shut off so I don't have to hear about whatever AI bullshit this thing wants to shove in my face. Yeah, that's Mara
Jade's droid, R2-double-D.
Sure. Oh boy, that is a sad to have.
Who gets that tattooed on their body?
I mean,
I'll let you
it's
describe
right above
that,
a Darth Maul. You can see it. How do I describe
you're
it?
Right.
Yeah.
There's
There's
right
the
above
horns.
Darth Maul.
How do I you mean how would I describe it for the audience?
Describe to the audience what you're seeing.
Oh, it's very easy. Okay, imagine R2-D2, but in the top 50% of the cylinder part of his body, his torso, are two large human breasts with blue nipples that are pierced with, what are those called, barbells?
Barbells, yeah.
Is that what those are called? Yeah, barbells.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm not pierced on anything. So, yeah, with barbells. That's it. And I will give you a little bit of a artist's opinion. Badly done. So, not only are they bizarrely...
but you know what? I hate to tell you this.
That
is such a tattoo style. I've seen stuff like that.
Oh, no, I know it is. But what I'm saying is this individual, who I presume is a man, but I don't know. We can't tell from the body part.
That's
but this person...
Totally... You know how that's totally a man. Anyway, go on.
You know what? I'm
evolved. 90% sure that's a man. Anyway, go on.
Okay, but that leaves 10%. I have evolved to a point where I expect everyone to be despicable. Therefore, I will extend it to everybody. I will be all-inclusive here. Whoever this individual is has made a decision that is not only artistically bankrupt, but also virtually ensures their
God.
place on a I am still a virgin at 75
You know what?
forum,
You know what's
screaming
funny?
about how why doesn't anybody want to have sex with me?
I bet you I know somebody who would get a tattoo like this.
Oh, I think we both know somebody who would get this tattoo because I think we both know somebody who has a tattoo that already. But let's not forget that individual's choice in partners.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, is there a mate for this person out there somewhere? Is there somebody who has a C-3PO with a John Holmes pierced dong hanging off the front? I hope so. I hope so. You know?
Oh, man.
C-3P hung is out there somewhere. I hope you find them.
That's good, too. Yeah, that's good.
Right? Because it will keep the two of you from walking into a school with a bomb. So good. You know? Otherwise, I don't know.
You
but
know
that's
here's
so
the thing.
depressing.
And the thing is, I don't find this stuff depressing. I just think it's funny. I think it's funny that somebody actually thought to put that on their body. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Good luck, man.
Well, but that's the look. I don't know how old this person is.
Oh,
this is one of the reasons well, you know what?
Theoretically.
Don't forget, the age of consent in many states is 16. Therefore, I'm just saying, maybe not. But, and plus, money can make age things disappear. Not every place works ethically. In whatever context this exists, it reminds me that I was very smart to never get a tattoo when I was younger. Because I would have made the only one that I would be happy with now that I know I would have wanted when I was younger is the Aphex Twin logo. It's the only one where I'd sit there and look at it and go, yep, that was the right decision. That's it.
You know what? I'll tell you, I did my entire right sleeve by the time I was 21, I think. Right? And then when I was a little bit older, I did the sleeve on my other arm, right, which was more put together. Or not put together. It was more like there was different pieces that went together, right? But it was a lot of red. And when I found my tattooist up in Vermont and I started redoing, I redid my back. I changed my back completely. But when I did my two arms, my right arm, which was my oldest tattoo, I didn't change it. I just went over and filled it all in with black. And it was a weird, funny thing where I was like, wow, this was the first sleeve that I did. And I have no changes I want to make to it. In fact, the only thing I did change was part of it was there's like a thunderbolt in there that was red, and the red was so faded. And I thought, you know what? Rather than put red in there, I'm going to put a Hawaiian print in there because I trust the person who can actually tattoo a Hawaiian print. And that's all I did. Everything else, like the other 95% of it's black tribal. I still wanted it, did it, totally happy with it. And it's kind of one of those funny things where like the other arm, I only kept parts of it and then I kind of went over all the red there because that red had faded quite a bit. I didn't take very good care of it either. But it's amusing to me that the oldest tattoo I had, the oldest sleeve I had, was the one that I didn't change at all. I was just like, no, that's good. I still love it. Which says to me that the whole decision-making thing, it can be good, it can be bad. I don't know, because I had every capacity to make a mistake. And when I had the opportunity to change it, that was the one that I still loved. The most, anyway, So, yeah, it's a weird thing. I mean, I guess you have to know yourself a little bit. I mean, there's also a weird vibe now with tattoos where there's a lot of people, there's a whole weird sort of mishmash billboard thing. I don't know if you've noticed this. Where, like, tattoos don't look put together anymore. People get lots of, like, stickers on their body. Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I see that all the time, especially when I go to get tattooed. Yeah. I see a lot of people with stuff like that. And, like, we each do this our own way. But I get an inordinate amount of compliments on my tattoos. Considering that when I was looking for someone to tattoo me, nobody wanted to do tribal. They were like, oh, tribal's so boring. Tribal's so done. And I was explained to by my tattooist that what it is a lot of tattooists today want to get on the cover of tattoo mags. And you don't get on the cover of a tattoo mag doing tribal, right? Because it's kind of boring, you know. It's not what they want to do, especially with someone like me who takes a heavy role in the design. Because I'm not putting shit on my body that comes out of you. I'm putting shit on my body that comes out of me. Because it's my body, therefore it better be my mind. But then the joke of it is that I get so many compliments, and what I've kind of worked out is I think that it's the fact that when you look at me, it looks like it's all connected. It looks like one big plan. There is a unity of effect across the bulk of me. And I think that is something that people respond to. It's the only explanation I have for it, because I get a really inordinate amount. And like, I'll be out with my wife, and my wife has a beautiful sleeve where it's like flowers and there's like all kind of swirling earth around it. I mean, it's really incredible work. Beautiful work of art. I get more compliments than she does. And I look at my arms and I'm like, this shit's just black patterns. But yeah, it's weird. But yeah, today I've noticed a lot of like the sticker effect where it's like, I like this, so I'm going to get a little tattoo that's, I mean, you know, 4 or 5 inches by 4 or 5 inches. Now I'm going to get another one next to it of something else that I like. And it's like, you end up with an unintended sleeve, or they'll space them out really well and it'll look literally like a child has put stickers on them. It's weird, and I kind of sit there and go, you should... this is my own OCD, I guess. You should have had a plan. You know? Like, yeah, should have had a plan. And like, when I was tattooing when I was younger, I had a plan. But I didn't have the money. And when I was older and I wanted to come back at it, I was like, I have a plan. I was like, and we're going to do it. And then I was like, took to it like crazy. So, even, you know what? All the time. I was at the Lego store there with my kids. And like, we bought a bunch of like minifigs and we were paying at the counter. And the woman there was talking about my tattoos and was like so engaged in the conversation that she massively fucked up my ring up, where she was supposed to charge me like for 4 things. And she charged me for 12 because there was like 12 items in the boxes. It was like 3 minifigures per box, so it was 12 of them. So it should have been 4 boxes. She charged me for 12. Or should have been 4 boxes. She charged me 12 boxes. And then she felt so bad, and they had to bring the manager in to do a return. And then she was still talking to me about tattoos. And I was like, oh, man, you're going to get yourself fired, darling. Like, now that I have a problem with it, we returned it. It's all good. It's like, but, I mean, you know. So, but this is, I much like the television thing, the tattoo thing is a thing era, you know? Before we were younger, there was a time where tattoos were still considered to be terrible. My father hated my tattoos forever. My mother hates them less, only because if she says anything, she gets hilarious commentary. Like when I got my legs tattooed, she was like, "Were those real?" And I was like, "No, it comes off with soap and water. You just gotta scrub really hard." And then she's kind of sitting there like, "Oh fuck, I don't know if you're being serious or not." And that tends to be the problem, I think, is that when you kind of corner me like that, because I have hennaed off my tattoos before. I've got really dark black henna, and I've hennaed off my tattoos, and I scrubbed them off. Confused the shit out of my grandmother. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, things change. So like then, you know, we're growing up in an era. I mean, a lot of people had tattoos when we were in college, and we were growing up in college, right? There's a ton of tattoos around us. And now, people in our age group, I see sleeves all the time. Whereas, you know what? When I was 14, I never saw sleeves. I saw sleeves on bikers. I saw sleeves on murderers, you know. There's now I see really cool tattoos all the time. It's become okay. It's become part of the culture, you know. And now that it's okay, people are doing their own thing with it, and that's what's going to happen. And I'm not going to agree with it, but that's fine because that's not how. It's not on my body, and that's fine. I mean, there's people who go out to artists and just want to be tattooed by an artist, so they can be like, "I got tattooed by this guy." and he's hot and up and coming, and they don't even care what they get tattooed. They don't care what somebody like stabs into their body with permanence. Like, that blows my mind. But yeah, somebody else pointed something out to me recently that I totally forgot, which you might. When did you start wearing glasses?
Oh man, I can't even remember. I was really young.
Right.
I mean,
so
14,
you
15?
probably remember this better than I do too, because I didn't need glasses till I was in middle school. But even in middle school, there was a period where wearing glasses set you apart. Glasses were like big and chunky. They were never cool. And if you wore them in school, you were the kid in glasses. And I was thinking about that, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? They're right. Because when I think about like my elementary school growing up, like the only kids who had glasses had these like giant, like computer monitor glasses. And you always looked at them thinking, is he gonna be blind if those fall off? I mean, that's the classic horror movie trope, isn't it? And I wondered, did you feel like the nerd because you had glasses in like elementary school?
Well, yeah, but I was also overweight, so of course I was screwed.
Well, I know that, but even listen,
I was in the comics, overweight, and wore glasses. I was fucked.
If you took your glasses off, it's not like you were going to lose weight. But then as we got older, now I look at kids, and maybe this is, listen, it's probably not a good thing that so many kids are in glasses, but it's very normalized. Lots of kids wear glasses now. It's not a big thing. You have options. There's contacts. There's glasses. There's lots of cool glasses. Like, it just got processed. And then you kind of sit there and go, well, I wonder where it'll go next. Like, honestly, I think tattooing is going to go away now because the younger generations will look at the older generations and be like, I don't want to get tattoos like those fuckers, and rebel. Because the younger generations always rebel against whatever's cool with the older people. So, like, when I'm in my 60s, and I have all my tattoos, they'll be like, I don't want to get tattoos like those old farts. And then tattoos will, like, kind of go quiet for a while again, And that's everything. Eventually there'll be no place for us in this world.
Well, nature solves that problem.
Nature does solve that problem. The one thing you can be assured of is that everyone that you dislike will one day be dead.
That's right.
Yeah. Just stop there. Don't think about the rest.
There's an impermanence to everything, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yep. The
importance of impermanence.
Yes, that's a tongue twister.
That's a good show. It's a good show title. The importance of beats C-3PO hung. The importance of
You're going for you're trying to upscale the.
Well, you know what? C-3PO hung, while funny, it doesn't flow very well. It's not a smooth word.
No,
it's not clever.
CB3 hung doesn't flow well. He's having a problem.
It's not lyrical. Sadly, it's not. I wish it was, because I like the visual of it, but it's it's not. Sorry.
Okay.
It just doesn't work. I wish it did, but it doesn't.
So yeah, and I think that to me is what colors a lot of my arguments about stuff. That when I look at things and I go, I don't like this. Why are they still doing this? I'm like, because it's not made for me. Like, why did they make Doctor Who like a gay black man, right? I didn't have a problem with it. In fact, one of my favorite Doctor Who episodes of all time is with I can't say his name, is with the Black Doctor, right?
Yeah, I can't pronounce it. Yeah.
But they did it because they were trying to connect with a younger audience. That was their intent. And I applaud them for that. Just, also keep up the level of writing. But you know what? Listen, what's this? Capaldi. I like Capaldi as a doctor, but man, I hated a lot of what they did with Capaldi. And that was sticking in line with the whole keep it as an older white guy, and like I didn't like a lot of what they did. And it was sad because I like Capaldi as an actor. He's a lot of fun. I watched that Musketeers series that they did. and he's the cardinal in that series, and like he's fucking awesome. I love him as the cardinal. He's got these fantastic outfits. He's a bastard. Like Capaldi's a great actor. But you know that the stuff just ends up not being for you. In fact, oh man, this is funny. So my wife reads a ton of like, you know, mystery and espionage and stuff like that, and but she's also a very fast reader, so she's like burning through all these books. And I guess someone told her she should read Clive Cussler, right? And the thing is, like, later Clive Cussler is, you know, cool, but if you read early Clive Cussler, which is like, I think like in the 70s, like he started writing, it's all very like, oh, you can't have women in combat. What are you talking about? Women are soft in the head. I'll protect you. You're a damsel. You're retarded. Ha 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 ha. Right? Which drove my wife up a wall. She's like, I can't read this. She's like, I can't. And she read something online that was like, yeah, read the later ones. Like he sheds his sexism as he goes on. But that's the thing. It's like, you know, these things are made for other times. I mean, how often? I mean, Jesus, we watched these movies tonight that were made in the 80s. Those were 80s movies that were definitely made for the 80s. Whereas there's a lot of people that would watch this today and be like, what the fuck am I watching? And there's a lot of stuff like that.
You know what's interesting about the movies that I thought about after the fact? There's no sexism, really. There's no
the leads are...
There's no racism. There's no really bad things about them that most movies have. You know?
No, actually, there is a...
There's not.
Generally positive.
There's almost a PG element outside of the rampant nudity.
You know what? Listen, and I'll say this: like even the nudity, most of it is there. There's, you know what? There's no negative nudity either. Like which we'll get into
outside of Malibu Express, which I have just ruled out.
Yeah, which I didn't see.
Which we won't watch because I don't like it.
But yeah, it's like. This is and this goes back to the whole idea, like going back to literature of other ages. When you read books that were written for another time, those books were written for you. So that's why when you read them, they feel weird. They sound weird. The moods, the textures. Like if you read Dickens, right? Dickens was written for a different time, but Dickens in his age was considered to be like a pop fiction writer. Whereas you read him now and you're like, the highfalutin Charles Dickens. And you're like, no, highfalutin now, in his time, he was a penny writer. Like, you know, he was writing, you know, Dallas. You know, which is the thing I always say, where like in the future, what is going to be the great literature of our age? And it's probably going to be, you know, it's probably going to be fucking Lee Childs. Or, you know, hopefully it'll be Stephen King. But it's not going to be highfalutin shit. It's the shit that people read that they maintained. It's the shit that people kept with them. You know, that went on. You know, like, it's the stuff that gets reprinted because people keep reading it. You know, and so you got to sit there and say, okay, it's not that amazing great new American novel that won an award that no one's ever fucking heard of. It's the 47th reprinting of 50 Shades of Black that's probably still going to be in circulation 100 years from now, right? That will be the great fiction of our age. It's the stuff that just kept going, you know? I mean, just think of the sci-fi authors in our lifetimes that people don't read anymore. I mean, George Alec Effinger, who wrote When Gravity Fails, he had a very brief reprinting where like a bunch of his books came out, and he's gone again. Can't find them on shelves. I don't even know if those reprints are still there. You know, and it's like, I mean, this is why I still like to go to used bookstores and antique bookstores and find like old fucking copies of sci-fi classics, because a lot of this stuff, it's gone. Nobody gives a shit. You know, and a lot of these people are award-winning sci-fi writer, you know, and you read the cover copy and you're like, this person won you know, an Asimov, or not even Asimov, what's the other one? Jesus Christ, can't remember what the awards are.
Arthur C. Clarke?
No, it's not. There's no before Arthur C. Clarke. It's like a Nova or something like that. Anyway. Okay. But the thing is, like, these people are award-winning sci-fi writers, and I'll be like, I've never heard of them. And you're like, yeah, because they were in a very, like, niche market for their time. people weren't reading them like crazy, and they get lost to history. You know, it's like and this goes to the movies that we watch. A lot of the movies we watch are lost to history. You know, and that's not even counting the good movies that are getting lost to history, which is the whole. I go back to this because it's an interesting thing. But Aliens is 40 years old, right? And there are a lot of people who haven't seen it. There's a lot of people who know the lines and haven't seen it. You know, my son knew the line 2 weeks before we ever watched a Total Recall, and he's like, "Oh, that's where it's from." I'm like, "Yeah," but you know, and these are the popular movies, right? But think of all the other movies that will go away, that just won't get reprinted, that you won't be able to find copies of. That somebody will be like, "Oh man, I remember this movie I watched many years ago called something or other. That was really good." And then you'll be like, "What? I've never even heard of that movie." And they're like, "Oh yeah, it was the first movie that any number of famous actors did." And you'll find it and you'll watch it and we'll be like, "Wow, that was really good. Why does no one know about this movie?" You know, The Spook Who Sat by the Door was a big deal when it came out. I don't know anybody who's heard of that movie. I don't know anybody who's heard of the book. And yet, when that book came out, they were worried as shit about it. Like, so it's all moving. It's all moving, and you never know what's going to be lost. You never know what's going to drift. You never know what's not going to come back. And, you know, and to some degree, that's why they keep making these same things over and over again, because maybe they just assume everyone's already forgotten. You know? Like, who's watching the first Star Wars movies? Except for the people who grew up with the first Star Wars movies.
Right.
Is that what's happening? I don't know. Listening
Could
to
be.
the gears work.
No, I mean, I don't know. It's that thing that we talk about where the assumptions on what everybody knows are false.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Really
This
don't.
morning, my youngest was hanging out with me, and they were like, "What were hangouts like when you were younger?" And I was like, And the thing is that they've got this really weird, inflated sense of what young people were like because they watched Stranger Things. And they're like,
Oh, sure.
and I was like, "That's okay." Listen, I was like, "That's not necessarily what it was like." I was like, you know, and I'm a child of like the late '80s, '90s, right? And like, did my parents let me kind of run around the neighborhood? Yeah. Was I out on my bike and like doing shit? I'm like, yeah, I was. I was like, but I didn't fucking vanish, you know, like, you know, and it's like they play up this angle where it's like everyone went to the mall and everyone did this, and you know, and it's like, well, yeah, you're seeing a hyper realized vision of a period of history that was already very hyper realized, you know. And I was like, hey, listen, I was like, you know what? When I was like a kid in the early '90s, I mean, you said just earlier in the show, you're like, I was a fucking nerd. I was overweight and I wore glasses. It's like, yeah, I was like, I was an art room nerd. You know, honestly, what is that last? What's that line? Nobody cared about me till I put on the mask. What's that from? Oh God, nobody cared about me till I put on the mask. It's a villain. Who says that? But like, I kind of had that, like, growing up, where it's like, you know, I was a nerdy kid. I wrote
Bane.
There you go. Nobody cared about me until I put on the mask. Yeah. When I was growing up, nobody gave a shit. I was just a weird kid in the background reading sci-fi, and then like, I started wearing leather because I liked it. Honestly, I started wearing leather because I listened to a lot of Doors with my mom. And my mom kept going about how Jim Morrison was like the coolest person ever, and I was like, you know what? Jim Morrison was kind of cool. And then my mom was like, I used to wear leather pants when I was young, when I was like a crazy artist. And I wonder if to some degree I started wearing leather pants because my mom did, and like I kind of idolized my mom. And when I started wearing like leather pants and leather jackets, suddenly like I was known and I was different and interesting, you know. And it's like, but even then I was still the weird art nerd in leather over there. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, you know, listen, things were as shitty then as they are now. They're just shitty in different ways. You know, did we have like cell phone, Facebook shittery and TikTok and stuff like that? No, we didn't have that. And we didn't have school shooters. No, we didn't. you know? But, like, I had a lot of suicides in my school. I don't know if that's gone up or down. You know, before they used to shoot themselves. Now they shoot the whole school. You know, but, like, it's not like everyone hung out more and it was more cool. You know, it's like, it's always just been life. And so that question of, like, what were normal hangouts like? I was like, I don't know what normal hangouts are like. It's like, you know, you're talking to the wrong person. You know, I try to explain to my kids what I was doing in college, to which your name pops up quite a bit. And honestly, the funny thing is, when I tell some stories, I realize that they sound very much like fiction. You know, and some of the stories, it's like you sit there and you think of your parents, and it's like, oh, I walked 20 miles to school through hail and fire every day, right? And then you hear some of the stories that come out of your mouth, and you're like, you know what? I was like, maybe they did. And, like, I listen a lot more intently now to my mother when she tells me, like, stories about, like, having no electricity and, like, you know, no plumbing. And, you know, I mean, she told me a story the other day about how she got stung by, when she was, like, living in a dirt farm in the backwoods of Cuba. She got stung by a scorpion, and, like, she nearly lost her leg. And they kept packing the wound with, like, chewed up tobacco, which I was like, what? And I found out that is a thing that they do, right? But her cousins used to basically, after she got better, used to catch scorpions, cut the tails off, and throw them at her. Just to fucking drive her up a wall. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, Jesus Christ. It's like, how did those kids not get stabbed? Anyway, but and then I hear myself telling my kids stories, and I'm like, did I do that? Was I there? You know, like, yeah, like, yeah, you know. I mean, the same with you. I mean, you don't have this because you don't have kids, right? But, like, if you're talking to somebody and you're telling them shit that went on in your short time at, like, UHA, some of it just feels like something out of a movie. You know?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. When I talk about burning down the dorm room, actually, when I make reference to my life with fire, I get weird looks. And I have to keep emphasizing to everybody that in almost every case, I wasn't the active party.
You know what? You know, I
was just there.
I had to tell that story to my kids today. And I started the tale by saying, this is the tale about people who don't understand that it's the vapors that ignite, not the actual fluid. That's how I start. So, yeah. But, I mean, I think we all have these stories. I think we all have myth in our past, whether we realize it or not. Some of us are better at telling a story. You know? So, yep. History becomes myth, and then at some point, we won't even remember who started the fire in the first place, just that it was there.
Oh, no. I'm always going to remember who started the dorm fire.
Because I'm always going to remember. Yeah.
No, that's why I remember, because I have to be able to point out very quickly to people when I tell this story.
I'm not the asshole in this story.
There are key elements of the story that are the kind of anchors of it.
You know
that
what?
Keep me from ever really forgetting it.
Don't say his name.
Yeah.
But I forgot your roommate's name in college.
Oh, wait. Okay, you're talking about the one who tried to hang himself with the Ethernet cord and ran out with his Dave Matthews CDs.
And I'm happy that I forgot his name.
Oh no! I will again, because of the incidents of the fire. Yeah. I will never forget that individual's name. I know his first and last name, and I won't ever forget them.
I know.
I've forgotten many names in my life, but I won't forget most of the things around that fire.
So yeah. So you know we. Everything keeps moving. The stories come back, and we look at them and go, I know this story, but the kids don't. And for them, it's new. And it's for them. You know, I mean, this is how tribalism works, where the same stories are told over and over in a tribe. And the older people say, oh, I liked it more when they told it in my youth. And then the kids say, well, I've never heard the story before. It's really cool. You know? And they just keep telling them, and it keeps recycling. Then it's like a telephone game where it alters a little bit. You know, it's like every time honestly, it's like every time you reboot a movie. It's like, you know, the first time you make Total Recall, it looks like this. The second time you make Total Recall, it looks like that. And you're like, okay, we went from Arnold Schwarzenegger to Colin Farrell. Was that an upgrade? And like, it's just the continuous, like, well, they're going to keep rebooting. Why? Because they want to tell the same stories. Why? Because they were good stories. So somebody somewhere said, we can make money off this. So they'll keep telling the story. Doctor Who, why does Doctor Who keep coming back? Because Doctor Who is designed to keep coming back as slightly different people. But you sit there and say, well, what makes Doctor Who what it is? And you're like, well, to some degree, it's the villains and the Daleks. Like, that's what the studio thinks makes Doctor Who. He's got a Sonic-y thing, he's got the TARDIS, and then those are his villains. It's like, at what point is it not Doctor Who anymore? How much can you strip away and still have it be Doctor Who? I mean, you don't need the Sonic. Yeah, I don't think you need the villains. I think you need the TARDIS. I think for me, it's a Time Lord and a TARDIS. Who knows?
Well, I also think it depends, and this was one of the points that Andy makes, is if you grew up with only the new stuff, that's what it is. And that's a completely different
setup.
Oh,
yeah, and I did not watch a lot of old Who. I kind of skipped that. I started watching a lot with Eccleston. So, that format works for me. But I also had encountered Who before. Like, Jesus Christ, I read Who books before that were written like by Douglas Adams and shit. It's crazy. I mean, for those of us who grew up in the period of Doctor Who where there was no Doctor Who, other than the fucking Fox TV movie. So, it's this is a big wheel, isn't it? And you're either at the top coming down or you're at the bottom getting crushed. So, yeah,
the movie seems to be the one thing everybody agrees to forget about.
Yeah, but not McGann. That's what's so interesting.
Half-human thing. Well, no, because
the half-human thing is out the window. But McGann somehow still, he ended up being Who for longer than anybody else, just because there was no Who on TV. So he was doing the audio plays and just kept fucking going. Like, it's funny, that shit, I mean, there was talk about having him do his own series, which honestly, you know what, I would have checked that out because I like Paul McGann. But you almost
start
to not.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. Sure.
I start to not trust things until I see them. I want them to be good, but I don't really trust it because I don't know. It's like, like this new Supergirl movie is coming out, and it's based around the Woman of Tomorrow, which is a really great comic. But will they be able to do it? Will it be good? I don't know. I want it to be good. They've changed the story a little bit. It's all about that dog now, which is interesting because in the book, the dog got hurt, but it was okay, and then she went to help the girl, and it was basically, it was True Grit in space with Supergirl. Whereas now they've shifted it that she's helping the girl, but it's very much about saving her dog. And it's like, okay, that's an interesting. That is a major and interesting change to the story that James Gunn apparently really liked because So did he have anything to do with the writing? Because I know he's not directing, but
I don't know. But I would suspect that he probably cherry-picked what parts of the story to emphasize. So in that way, he probably took the major components. Because here's the reality is, you could take the exact same story, and depending on how you cut the movie and what scenes you include, you recontextualize and re-emphasize different parts. So he could literally be doing the exact same story, but if he chops down the stuff around the dog becomes more important.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
So, I want it to be good, and hopefully it will. But we're in this age where, you just don't know anymore.
Well, also, I don't know that it's clear if it really is just about the dog or if that's what the trailer is emphasizing. It could be that what they're doing is playing up the dog stuff to get people in, and then, the stuff with the girl is actually... The dog could be the bookend.
Yeah.
And they're just using all that in the trailer. We really don't know till it's out.
Yeah. But I mean, even
to
the
your
stuff
question
that works,
about the writing, If he chops out a lot of the girl stuff, it becomes about the dog. If he bookends it with the dog, in the middle is all about the girl, it's equal. So we don't know yet.
So yeah, we'll see. But I try to keep myself open, and I try to enjoy what I can, where I can, and I try to spend more time being entertained than I do tearing stuff down. And when I start to see something go south on me, you know what? I just walk away. I just walk and say, I'll come back to this some other time, and maybe it'll be good. You know, there's a lot of media out there just waiting. I mean, honestly, if anything, you've shown me there's a lot of shit in the past that I missed. Or, honestly, with tonight's movies, there's a lot of shit that I watched that was funny and still funny, you know? Like, so, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. And you have a very large late night.
I do.
So.
Yes.
So tune in.
Which is good, because I really didn't, I never know how long they'll go. And and the other nice part, which I'm very happy about, he talked for most of it, which is going to make editing it very easy. The video part, because and I'm very grateful for this, when people can go long stretches without me having to prompt, because that means that I can just look at the waveform and jump a long ways down and then chop myself in for a question or two and then chop myself out. And then it's just a long stretch. It'll make the editing so much simpler. So much simpler. Not that I'm complaining. I like me and Doug do the movie stuff. That's great. But I really have to pay attention. I have to put pictures of actors in if we're talking about them. I have to put movie clips in if we're referencing something. It's a lot of work. Whereas when Andy was talking, I literally was just listening and saying nothing for a good 20 minutes. And I'm thrilled. So much easier to edit.
Well, I mean, you're basically doing the thing. You're doing the thing that he does. You were listening to, like, how can I make this editing easier on myself?
No, he had a lot to say, and it was a good. One of the things you and I complain about is nuance, and it was a very nuanced discussion around the use of AI in general. And that's something I don't think we get enough of.
Can I tell you a funny AI story before we move on to movies?
Sure.
So, my kids like to fuck around with the AI stuff because you can make funny pictures. And honestly, I think that's probably one of the only uses in my life is just making silly pictures, right? And my kids were like, turn us into elves, and they made themselves look like elves in like a Lord of the Rings pub, right? And they had pointy ears, and it changed their clothes to have like little elven embroidery on the clothes and whatnot, and there was like an inn behind them, and there was a bunch of elves and dwarves drinking, right? And they looked like elves. It had changed their ears, it had changed their outfits, right? And then the kids took a picture of me and said, make our dad look like a dwarf in the same thing in like a fantasy Lord of the Rings type pub thing.
And it did nothing.
It did fucking nothing.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I knew exactly where you were going.
Nothing.
I thought you were going to say, and it put a little hat on my head.
No, it did nothing. It just sat me down at a table.
What would it need to do? You know what? The one thing I'm surprised it didn't do is strip your tattoos off.
I was wearing a jacket.
That's why. Yeah. I was going to say, I bet you if you were bare-armed, it would take the tattoos off.
It just sat me down. That's it. It didn't change shit. The beard, it didn't make my nose bigger. Nothing. It was like, this is already a dwarf. Here you go. Yeah. I was like,
why would it?
AI just fucking insulted my ass. I got a good laugh out of that. Just,
I'm not shocked.
The system was like, nope, already a dwarf. You're good.
No, nothing to do.
No. And my kids just kept looking at it and looking at me going, like, what the fuck? What happened?
Yeah.
I'm like, I told you guys, I am a giant among dwarves.
It's done.
I'm the tallest dwarf. Yes. Not a very tall man, but a huge dwarf. So, yeah. That's about the only thing I think AI is fun with. Is on a day-to-day basis fun. It's fun to do things with. Beyond that, I'm kind of like, whatever.
Yeah, that's how I am.
But yes, so I apparently I am just a dwarf.
You're just a dwarf.
Yep. Yeah,
Just,
so I'm a dwarf.
Just don't mine too greedily and too deep, and you'll be fine.
I am a dwarf, and you're the guy from Simpsons.
Yeah, I'm the comic book guy.
God, what a pair! What a pair that is.
Minus 100 pounds, I guess, because that guy is pretty big.
Yeah, it's the comic book guy from The Simpsons and Gimli.
And the dwarf and Gimli. Okay, wait. Does that character comic book guy? Does he have a name?
Yeah, hilarious that we never.
His name is Jeff Albertson. Yeah. Okay, I am not that big.
No, you're definitely not that big. No,
it's Jeff and Jeff and Gimli.
It was just because you dressed like him for years.
No. Look. It is. This is a version of me. If I was
not, yeah,
I would say 150 pounds bigger and drank beer.
Yes, well, there's that.
Yeah, because the gut would be from beer. But yeah, no. Otherwise, it is a fair approximation of me, largely. So
there you go.
Even with the receding hairline, god damn it. Well, anyway.
Hey, you know what? At least it's receding and not receded.
It's not patchy receding. It would be worse if it was patchy. There's no fixing that.
I can't even remember
GLH9
when I had hair.
time.
I think it was in my 20s.
I remember. I have pictures of me having hair.
Yeah.
I remember.
In fact, when my kids saw pictures of me in late high school, early college, they were like, "That's not you." I'm like, "What?" They're like, "That guy's got hair and no beard."
Eventually, it's gonna be that's an AIU. You made that.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Look at the eyes." I was like, "You see the fury?"
Yeah.
I was like, "That's me."
Yeah, it's there. If you're close, you can see it. But yeah, now in the future, when people have pictures like that, they're going to be like, "Yeah, you AI'd that. That's not real."
You're like, you AI'd yourself as an
AI,
awkward
no, really.
leather goth. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you know that's going to happen. So get ready for it, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, I'm happy that I look different. It makes it very easy to avoid having to talk to people I grew up with. I walk by, got my costume on.
That's true.
Nobody recognizes me.
Yeah.
You know, whereas like you aren't different enough, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Well, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
Just give me the essence of the thing, the juice, you know.
You shut the fuck up!
See, white girls bore me.
You can eat shit and die, Colonel.
Is that a snorkel in his pocket, or is he just happy to see me?
One man's dream is another man's lunch.
I want you to see the special equipment I have for you. Well, we're pretty isolated here, and I don't always get my share.
Are you comfortable with a big gun?
They have their advantages.
This baby's larger than most anything around.
Well, I'm not as impressed with size as I am with performance.
Once loaded and cocked, all you need is a steady hand on the barrel.
Now, I'm going to tell you something.
Oh, man, I'm amazed you played the whole fucking song. Give you credit there.
It's only two. It's only like 2 minutes and 20. It's really not long. I've been listening to it since we watched the movie. I was listening to it this morning when I was making breakfast. It's great. I'm singing along. But the funny part about that is, I wasn't originally going to play the whole song. I was just going to play maybe half of it. Mm-hmm. But I had the lunch clip, the one man's lunch clip, and I was just play. And I always try to work in all the other ones at the beginning, like they were. And I just kind of spitballed them into the track to line them up to start to figure out where they were going to go. And I'm playing it back. And when it hit the point where that plays, I didn't place that on purpose. It was just there. And once it fit in there, I just said, nope, playing the whole thing now. And I just left it. And and one clip from each film featured in that entire thing. So I covered all 3 movies. I was thrilled when I finished that.
That conversation, that conversation about the gun, where it's like very obviously they're not talking about the gun. That is the most like, I mean, like, it's the most quote unquote loaded conversation I've seen in a movie in a long time.
Oh boy, yeah.
Like, I mean, they're so close. It's so close to just being like, hey, how big is your cock? I'd like it in me. How much would you like it in you? Would you like it in you a lot? Like, it's just shy of that.
Just shy.
I will let you present, since you do adore these.
Well, I've reviewed all these movies before, so there's not much that I will have to say new about it. But we watched the Magic 3 out of the Andy Sidaris. I believe it's Babes, Bullets, and what is it? Babes, Bombs, and Bullets, I think is the actual collection name, which is a set of... I don't know if all... Hold on. It's Bullets, Bombs, and Babes, I think is the collection my wife got me. Here it is. Bullets, Bombs, and Babes. Okay. Inside... It is 12 movies, so all 12 are in there. So all 12 movies are in there. I've watched all 12. I think I reviewed all 12. But the only 3 that matter... Now... okay. So out of the 12... 5 I think are worth seeing, but even of that, 3 are the ones that I then bought on Blu-ray because I wanted the good versions of them. I actually wanted to spend more money on them, and that are the three that we watched, which are Hard Ticket to Hawaii from 1987, Picasso Trigger from 1988, and Savage Beach from 1989. And as I said at the time when I reviewed them, the reason those 3 are the ones we watched is because those 3 have Donna and Taryn, who are the duo that I think are the best thing out of all these movies. And I have to say, I adore Taryn. Not even in a attraction way. She's the type of person I'd want as my female buddy. Just a pal. Because she just seems like such a fun person. And I just like her a lot. She's very charming. Donna's fine, but Donna's disproportionate. And it's something triggers in my brain where I'm like, no, that doesn't look right. Because you're going to see a lot of these women, and frankly, all the women, and some men.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot. But these are action skin flicks from Andy Sidaris, who seem to have, much like Russ Meyer has his things, Andy Sidaris seems to like RC cars and Hawaii.
RC things, yes.
RC things, Hawaii, and nude women. And those are minor.
And you know what?
And
not totally nude women either. I think he's a... You know how we were watching that Italian movie and we were like, this is definitely a guy who likes rear ends.
Oh,
He's definitely a breast man.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair assessment, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, some of that might be because showing more might have been tricky. You do get a little bit more in a couple, particularly in Savage Beach. You get a little under the belt, but not much. But yeah, I think he started off with a lot of Playboy models, and then went into, I think, penthouse models, and that's what I was talking about with you on
and
that.
that does, and it changes.
Commentary.
'Cause I saw photos of what the women look like in later movies.
Yeah, they get
it's
silly.
bizarre, like the size of these chests. Like these are not secret agents anymore. They can't run around like that. And he doesn't like bras either.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too. It's like he wants them to have like he wants them to have like triple D breasts, but no bras, guys. And it's like, okay.
And I think that's another thing that I like about Taryn is when she's running around, I don't feel like she's about to fall over because she's all natural, and and everything looks correct because of that. Whereas Donna, I'm like, stop running, you're going to hurt yourself. Stop it. I mean, seriously, that cannot feel good to be jogging around like that. I wouldn't think.
Well, yeah. So as Joe put it, these are action skin flicks. Now, and the funny thing here is that Joe, you said you didn't grow up on these, right? You didn't see these until later.
No. The skin flicks, the Skinemax stuff I remember was a lot of the kind of a lot of horror movies. So there was a lot of nudity in horror movies, but that's not usually all that titillating. That's usually very obvious and it's clear, and it's right before somebody's head gets cut off. And
she's taking her shirt off. She's gonna be dead.
Yeah, chopping mall type shit where running bare, with a tight shot on her ass and their head explodes. Stuff like that, or the kind of Red Shoe Diaries stuff. I remember a lot of that kind of material where it was
and I
parading around as a mystery film.
I saw a lot of these. I saw a lot of like action skin flicks where. If the lead girl was a spy, or if the lead action girl was, or if the lead was a girl, then at some point she will be naked. And then usually there was like a lead guy, you saw a lot of him, and then you'd see him with the girl, and then you'd see the love interest. I mean, there was always nudity because it was kind of it was the late night punch of it. We've got action and nudity, so you'll stay and watch the whole thing. Right? So I saw a lot of these. I may have actually seen these before and just not remember them, but they seem very familiar to me. Familiar, like I grew up with these. Like this is my youth of basically being left alone to watch whatever the fuck I want, and also having insomnia. So putting the TV on really late at night and being like, ooh, naked ladies, like as a teenager. So I have a fondness for these because they are from a period of my life, and these three are a very good example of these movies. There's a lot of really shitty ones. This is a sewer of B movies, some of which were horribly bad. But some of them were actually...
And this series became horribly bad. The later ones are, especially the last 3 or 4, are almost unwatchable. They're just titanically
those
boring.
are different. Those aren't 80s movies. I mean, this is the thing Joe was saying to me, is that those were made in the early 90s, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing, is these three that we watched, these are pure 80s movies. Whereas the later ones, things shifted. Demand shifted. Those are 90s movies. And the 90s movies are different. But these are a great example, and I enjoyed all 3 of these. Even though I was fucking tired as hell watching all 3 of these. Like, I feel bad because I don't know if you caught me yawning. I'm gonna yawn. Oh fuck, because I said yawn. Anyway, I was yawning a lot, not because I was bored. I was just so tired. But like, I was having a really good time seeing these movies. And I mean, I'll tell you right now, right up front. Hard Ticket to Hawaii for me was probably the most fun I had. Picasso Trigger was confusing, but still pretty good. And then Savage Beach was honestly, if you're only going to watch 2 of them, watch Hard Ticket to Hawaii and Savage Beach. Both of those are so good. I feel like they tried to change the math on these when they did Picasso Trigger, and then they were like, no, just go back to the old formula. So like Hard Ticket to Hawaii and Savage Beach have a very similar feel, whereas they tried to shift away. And the shameless rotating cast where like they keep bringing in new male leads, which is very funny, is that the 2 women stay the same, but then
Yes.
like they keep shifting everyone around them, and like the male lead is always the cousin of the previous male lead,
Yeah.
like which is just like
Yeah.
it's such a shameless comedy. But with these, what is fun about these movies is that they do not take themselves seriously. The first one especially, very silly at times. They've got this like 4-barrel bazooka gun they use, and like its powers are hilariously flexible. Where at one point they shoot a guy out of the air and blow him up, and then at another point they shoot a snake off the floor. Like this is the hard and fast rules of like nudie action movie making. But the thing about it is that it's actually quite fun and charming. They just want to entertain you, and they're going to cut every corner they can to do it. Right? The snake is a hand puppet, and there's going to be a nudity interlude like every 10 minutes if they can. At least in Hard Ticket to Hawaii. And there
is a jacuzzi moment in Savage Beach too. They have to go discuss the events of the day in the jacuzzi.
Oh no! But Savage Beach gets back to it. I'm just saying is that Hard Ticket to Hawaii has its formula, right? And it's and it's fun. There's going to be a big violent roundup at the end. They're gonna have the big shootout, and you can watch these and you can utterly pick them apart. You can be like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. And it doesn't, because it's not meant to. It's just meant to be fun. And what's amusing is that none of these women in these movies are my type. So, like, actually, that's not true. Hard Ticket to Hawaii, there is a very muscly lady who plays the villain.
Yes.
That we don't see enough
Sadly,
of.
very underutilized.
Very underutilized, yes. But she is incredibly fit. But otherwise, I still find them enjoyable, and there's this kind of charming aspect to it where it's like, are there women who might be offended by these movies? Yes, because they are shameless, but it's the shamelessness of it that's kind of adorable, where they're just like, hey, let's discuss what's going on with the bad guys, but you know what? We'll do it in the jacuzzi and we'll take our tops off, and then they're just sitting there doing dialogue, topless. In the jacuzzi, and you're like, oh, okay, yep. So yeah, Hard Ticket to Hawaii, and honestly, it is so utterly, overwhelmingly 80s. I mean, you've got the big hair. I mean, and this isn't like, there's a difference now between simulacra 80s and actually 80s. 80s movies made in the 80s that were supposed to take place in the 80s are a very different kind of 80s than, say, Stranger Things, which is like, oh, this is what the 80s was like. But it's being made by people who, were the Duffer Brothers children of the 80s? They seem a bit young. Either way, they're making
maybe
movies.
they caught it on reruns, but you would think they're a little young for it.
Yeah, but either way, they're making movies about the 80s, but they're making them today. Whereas, like I said, when you have movies that are made in the 80s about the 80s, it's a whole different kind of shameless, don't give a fuck feel to them. And that's what Hard Ticket to Hawaii is. Doesn't give a shit. It's doing its thing. Enjoy it. Like, there's no point in getting offended. Just stop watching. And like you said, there isn't a racism at all in this movie. There isn't any sexism. In fact, the only sexism you get is in Savage Beach, where someone tries to count the girls down, at which point they get the upper hand on them, and it's like, hey, fuck you, buddy. So it's like, there's no sexism really. Anyone who attempts it, gets it shoved right back in their face. So, other than the fact it's two women in charge who like to take off their clothes, they are mostly positive, silly action, like skin flicks. So I do enjoy Hard Ticket to Hawaii. The soundtrack is hilariously 80s. The hair, the look of everything. It is just so... it's just so 80s at every turn. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they based Mike's mom off of Donna from this, because the hair, everything. And the silly outfits they're wearing, and the 80s like pop utility belt that they've got. I mean, it's just there's so many levels of unintentional comedy. I mean, and they are good B movies. Within that context, they are at the top for me of what a good B movie should be. Right? Hard Ticket to Hawaii is good. Picasso Trigger, slightly different creature. I enjoyed it the least of the three, but I still did enjoy it. But it feels like the director wanted to get more serious. So, there are times in Picasso Trigger where I expect there to be... I'm not expecting, because I want there to be a nudity interlude, but this is where normally there would be a nudity interlude, because this is the formula the director has set up in the previous movie, and then there isn't. In fact, there's one scene where like you get all the foreplay and no sex scene, which is so confusing in these movies. We were like, oh wow, you see more of the guy than you do the woman, and I'm kind of like, okay. I was like, is this because they want to give some to the ladies? Like, is that what but it just feels like they wanted to do something different. They wanted more of a spy story, and they shift the lead off of the dynamic duo, and they have this guy come on who, I mean, physically he is impressive, but he has like two expressions. He's either like confused or intense, or like too intense, right? So like there's a lot of points in the movie where like I was worried that he was going to start, like he's almost like teary-eyed, and he'll say something to a girl, and like I know that it's intended to be like a good thing, but like the way he says it, it's almost like he's threatening her. Where, or like normally someone would be like, hey, I'll take you out tonight, but it was like, I'll take you out tonight, and you're like, whoa, settle down, Tex. It's like, ally, chill out. So it was weird to use him as like the main lead and to push the girls kind of to the side. And it made for kind of like it just wasn't as much fun. It's still a decent B movie, but like I don't even have a lot to say about it, because it's the weakest of the three that we watched. I mean, do you have a defense for it?
No. I actually completely agree. I think the mistake of Picasso Trigger is really twofold. One, and the primary thing, is that they took the focus off of Don and Taryn, because they're the whole thing. And I don't, I really didn't look that far into like how these movies were made. But those two women appear to be having a very good time. That's part of what I think offsets the male gaze-ness of all this, where you're sitting there going, yeah, this is all just about nudity, which it is, but they sure look like they're actually getting along in real life and having like they're laughing and having a good time making these.
Well, here's the thing. And there's also no lesbianism in this. If this movie was made today, these two would be like, we're fucking each other and everybody else. Whereas like, they go to the beach, they frolic in the water nude, they come back, they have some dinner, and then they go out and they're like, I'm going to go find so-and-so and fuck his brains out. There's kind of something amusing in that today, like lesbianism is kind of like, it's kind of shoved into everything because they understand that men like it. Men like to see it, right? And if these movies were made today, that would absolutely be there. But it isn't there at all. Like, so it's kind of like,
even when it would make more sense with what's going on, because there's one point where they're just frolicking in the ocean, and I'm like, okay, this is what a couple does. What is this?
You're like, these two should just be together, I think is what you said.
I did say that. It would just make a lot more sense. And that would have been a great movie.
But they just weren't. That wasn't something that was even on the mind.
All the men around them are incompetent dopes. I mean, in every movie, the men are cartoonishly stupid.
Well, the male co-leads can't hit anything to save their life. They're famously
That's the joke
horrible.
Of the primary lead is all the men in this lineage can't shoot anything.
Save their life.
The other muscle man karate guy is a big dope.
Yes,
and they're
he is.
all big dopes. And so that's the thing is Donna and Taryn get everything done. I mean, they really do. And they seem to be having a good time. There is no... There is this is what I mean about the bizarre dichotomy of these movies is that if you took the nudity out, it would be almost like a feel-good feminist getting it done girls movie, sets of movies, where really the two leads, you know, and the thing is, Taryn is all about just, at the end of every movie, she's like, I've stolen these things and you can't do anything about it, which is great.
She robs the government in every movie because she's
in every
not
one, because she is
not technically an agent.
Technically, she's in witness fucking protection.
Yeah.
And yet she's going on adventures with the DEA lead, which is Donna. Right?
Yep.
And they're flying a plane around, undercover, I guess, to different... They're delivering food and medicine to kids in need. They're landing on an island from World War II where there's gold buried.
No, I mean, listen...
They're trafficking snakes. There's all kinds of crazy shit.
Just think of it this way, right? This would make total sense, right? If they were male. Because they made a lot of these. This is like Magnum P.I., right?
Yeah.
They just said, fuck it. Let's have it not be male. Let's make them girls. Then we can get the nudity in on the leads. And that's what they did. But no, you're right. There isn't a negativity. There's no rape. There's no. You know, this is just
outside the first one, which we won't watch. The rest of these, there was nothing. Again, I don't remember. In the three that I think are good, they don't make the women out to be dumb. In fact, the males are the dumb ones. So they didn't when they change. Let's say these were written for men. They didn't switch it to women and go, okay, and they're dumb blondes.
Make them dumb now. They're not at all. In fact, somebody does try to say the dumb blonde thing in Savage Beach, and they get it turned on them immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they are funny movies in that respect, and that's why Hard Ticket is kind of annoying because they switch it to that lead, but he's still kind of an idiot. Like.
Oh, you mean Picasso Trigger?
Oh no, sorry, Picasso Trigger, yeah. And I'll tell you what's very funny is that Joe didn't realize that Picasso Trigger was the second one.
No, and I think it's because it feels like Picasso Trigger is the one that should have come first, where they went, okay, the balance is off. These women are actually who we should be focusing on, and they corrected it in the next one. And instead, they went backwards.
Yeah, instead, they were like, let's try to not use them. And they were like, oh, shit, no, we should go back to them. And that's the thing. When they go back to Savage Beach, I mean, it's not as good as Hard Ticket to Hawaii in that it feels like it's got a lot more threads going. But once everybody gets on the island, it gets very amusing. But there are, otherwise, to me, it's a perfect course correction because you've got lots of weird nudity breaks, right? They're like, hey, let's talk about the plan with their shirts off in the water. And you're like, okay. The girls have their boat, and they're kind of cruising around doing their thing. But then the bad guy, I mean, there's a bunch of bad guys. But the one bad guy and his girlfriend have this absolutely insane relationship. They are most of the sex in this movie, and the actress who plays his girlfriend, who honestly they probably got her because she was willing to get very naked, her lines are all delivered in this like psychotic level of intensity because I think it was the only volume she had, and then like he's playing off of it, so he's also like he's very intense, and he's like and so like literally at one point they get in the car together and they have a driver. And I was just sitting there laughing, oh, honey, I'm going to fuck you right here in the back of the car. And then he proceeds to fuck her right there in the back of the car. And I was like, holy shit. Oh, yeah. And I think there was a few times where I would say something as a laugh, and you'd be like, that is what is going to happen now.
Yeah. And it almost invariably did happen.
Oh, it is. There is this, like, id nature, but instead of being like a mean id, it's like a silly, it's a silly dope id. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and honestly, when the one villain's girlfriend gets killed, right? I half expected like there to be a sex scene as she was dying. Like it would not have been out of order in this movie. It would have been like, I want to die with you between my legs or some weird shit like that, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole World War II background story on this one, where they try to age people up. It's not a movie where age makeup is a good idea. When I first saw it,
it is the best idea.
I mean, it's so bad. It's just so bad.
It's so bad. It's so bad that it becomes fantastic.
Oh my god! Every time that guy shows up with his face, you're like, "What is going on here?"
It is so unbelievable. It's great.
And yet they commit to it. I mean, that's the other thing too. Is not only is it bad, but they fucking commit. They go close-ups with their commitment. You know, so it's like
no. They give it out in the sunshine under bright light.
Yeah, we are fucking in it with this makeup. So that is hilarious that they do that. And I do love the fact that Andy Sidaris is Andy Sidaris, right?
Yes, Andy Sidaris is the director. Yep.
Is that he reuses a lot of his actors. So like the guy who plays Picasso Trigger in the one movie is now like the good military agent in this movie. Like he switches people around, which honestly I see it as a good thing. That thing is like a director who's got a bunch of actors who knows will come through for him, and he just kind of keeps bringing the same people in. And for me, like I find that amusing because you get to see people in a lot of different roles.
Sure, yeah.
You know, I think the bad guy from Hard Ticket to Hawaii is a different bad guy in this, but he's the intense Latin lover with the girl, and like stuff like that.
Yep.
So, is there still shameless amounts of nudity? Yes. Do we have as much other than the villain, you know, having like way over the top sex scenes with his lady? Is there any other sex? I mean, there was that bit of dialogue we talked about earlier where the new cousin male co-lead shows up, and because they can't I guess they can't immediately have a sex scene with them. They had this like short scene of dialogue where clearly they're talking about fucking. But, you know, they're talking about the gun that he brought her. And it's like, it's just so...
It is.
I mean,
it's lunacy.
The whole movie is a wet chuckle. I mean, you're watching it and you're like, okay.
It really is. That's
okay.
correct.
Oh, he's old. That's his old makeup. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, it's an RC plane. Okay. Yep. Let's go. Come on. I'm good. You know. Yeah, they're in a plane. Of course they're in a plane. Is it on the ground? Like at one point they land someplace and there's supposed to be like a hurricane, and like very obviously someone is like shooting a hose at just the plane, and you can see like just beyond. It's like just
you can see where
fine.
The stream is coming from.
Yeah,
like, you can see it.
Yeah, and it's like
great.
Or
when it's caught in the hurricane, it's a little toy, and you can see the strings.
Oh, the model.
Great.
Yeah, it's very much.
Yeah, you can see the model bouncing around. But it's adorable.
But the thing is, like, they would try to make movies like this today for it to be funny, whereas these people were actually making these movies then.
Yeah.
And they are funny.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of it, is that there is both... They play it really interestingly in that there are serious moments, and then there's just goofy stuff, and neither of them tries to veer across the line to the other side. So in Savage Beach, one of the B plot is that Taryn's grandfather had died
grandfather that she mentioned
on this island. Yeah. And she has very blue eyes. And so when the old age young man is running around, the culmination of that is that he takes a bullet for her, and not bullet. He gets his is he gets shot, or does he just get his throat slit? I can't remember. He gets shot.
He gets shot as he approaches the guy. Yeah. He
gets shot, and she's holding him as he's dying, and he basically tells this harrowing story about how when these Americans washed up on the shore unarmed, he and the other Japanese soldiers on the island sliced them to ribbons, which was a betrayal of the Bushido Code.
They said they were so scared and they didn't know what to do, and they killed them.
Yeah, and the other two committed suicide, and he didn't, and he just stayed on the island. And he says, I couldn't kill those blue eyes again, and that's why he was basically took the bullet. And she's crying, and she looks Like, it doesn't look bad. She looks like she's trying to act, and it's actually effective, and it's a good scene.
Oh, hey, listen.
That seems improbable in a movie where, like you said, the Latin lover, that woman's acting is so atrocious and over the top that, as you said, you really do flip a coin on whether, as the life goes out of her, he's going to be going into her, because you really just don't know.
Oh, yeah. You don't know.
And the shit she's saying to him was just like, your passion could stir 1,000 ships in port, my lord. And she's saying it like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, so intense. Yeah.
Oh, God. And when she's standing on the boat, it's like an action figure pose. Like somebody came up to her and pushed her leg out and like shoved her chest out. And she's just staying. And she's always, then she's holding on to somebody's arm like she's a lost child. But she's got this look.
Where she's got no idea where she is or where she's going.
Yeah, and then you contrast that with this guy dying in Taran's arms, and the story he's telling is a very serious story, and it's horrible. It's a horrifying story to hear your grandfather was cut up by these people, murdered.
I was amazed that she wasn't like, you son of a bitch. She was like, oh, yeah. It's so sad. You know, like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of try to read it as she's just sad at any type of human dying, which is nice. It's a noble sentiment to think that the loss of any life is bad.
She's just so sweet.
Yeah, no, I love Taran. She's great. So that's what I mean about once those two once it was Donna by herself, it just kind of lost a lot of it because Taran is the fun girl, and Donna's the serious one. But they get along really well. They don't play it as kind of the hard ass and the wise ass and they're butting heads. They just play it as one knows that one's doing a serious job and one's being a goofball, but they have fun together. And that's a refreshing change because a lot of times,
and one has to work for the
government. And that's the other great thing is everybody just laughs at the fact that Taran's like, loophole, I'm not government, so I can steal everything.
And
diamonds, paintings, whatever,
by the end
gold.
Of these movies, she's got to be fucking loaded.
Right.
I mean, just the diamonds.
And that's probably why she left. She's like, I'm done. I'm rich. See ya. And she takes off.
Yeah.
But I also like the fact that I read a little bit about not only the actress who plays Taran and the one who plays Donna, and both of them in different ways. This is the other thing about these movies where they were both Playboy playmates. So the nudity wasn't a big deal to them. They were already it's not like you hear about in Hollywood where actresses are told you have to be nude or you're not getting the role. You know what I mean?
We read about this in another movie. I can't remember what movie it was. There was a movie we watched where the girl who was in it had been a Playboy playmate, and she didn't care. And we were like, oh my God, there's so much nudity in this. And she's like, I don't give a shit. She's like, this is less than I normally do.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So yes, it made no difference to them. They were like, we do this shit anyway.
No, but also, so the woman who played Taran, her name is Hope Marie Carlton, she did a bunch of movies like this, and then basically decided that the life wasn't for her. She got out. She's a perfectly normal, living a normal life, seems to be happy, does little convention stuff here and there, but generally doesn't have any bad memories of it. And then the other one had a tougher life. Apparently she was one of, allegedly one of, what's the guy? Bill Cosby's victims.
No.
But
really?
Yeah, well, there's a book about her, which I might actually read because I am kind of curious now. But when she did these movies, she was struggling with alcohol abuse, and Andy Sidaris and his wife helped her stay sober. They got her a car in case she was drinking. They made sure she was never driving, and they got her to be they were helping her get out of it. So that's what I mean about the experience of this all sounds largely positive when many other movies of this type, and when you hear about, nudity and this type of stuff, is not nearly as, it's more of the Tracy Lords type of situation where it's like, oh my God, what the fuck was happening here? This doesn't, and I think maybe, and this is just me not hypothesizing. What the hell word am I trying to say? This is me making a supposition, whatever. This is me just projecting my hopeful version of this.
Okay.
Is because Andy Sidaris' wife was a big part of making these movies. She was involved.
The producer, yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, she has championed, because he died of lung cancer, I think, 10 years ago, something like that. And she stayed on with trying to get the movies released and, getting them in high def and all this stuff. And maybe her presence is what kept these things from spiraling in a different direction, is to have somebody who was a woman on set and the wife saying, okay, we're going to make sure this is done without it becoming, a shit show. Or maybe Andy Sidaris was just a nice guy. That's possible too.
I think it's not a mean nudity. It is definitely like, it's not even like a Playboy nudity, because I mean, literally, like there is some asses in this movie. Otherwise, it's just a lot of breasts.
Sure.
There's some male asses in this, right? But like it's not. This isn't a hustler movie. This is a Playboy movie, and that's what it feels like. It feels like a Playboy action movie. If it said, Hard Ticket to Hawaii, brought to you by Playboy, it would make total sense.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it was brought to you by Playboy. They just didn't say it.
Yeah. Whereas later on, they were brought to you by Hustler, and it changed. Even the girls, they were Yeah. So, and the market changed.
So that's what I mean about there is a lightness to these three movies where, again, I think that's what might...
Yeah, that's a good word for it. The lightness.
It might...
very strange.
And I think that would shield it, even for a lot of women who otherwise do not like this level of nudity. There is a difference in the way these movies come off in terms of, okay, everybody's having fun. So it's okay. They're almost
nudity.
Very sex positive, which to use a current term.
And then we had nudity in movies. I saw a sex scene the other day that kind of washed up on my shores that had, oh God, what's her name from Titanic? Oh God.
Kate Winslet?
Kate Winslet, right? And I see it, and I'm like, I like Kate Winslet, and I'm like, this has got to be AI. I was like, this can't be real. This has got to be like somebody AI'd their faces or something like that. Because there's another actress in there that I also know, and I'm like, this can't be real. And then I looked it up, and yeah, it's fucking real. And like, let me tell you, this, some like they did that movie Blue's the Warmest Color, and like that movie is like that is like lesbian porn. It just is, right? It's got a plot, and there's more to that movie than just the sex, but the sex is pretty porny. This movie, dude, like this girl is going down on Kate Winslet, and then she like literally jumps up and starts riding her face, right? And I don't mean like in the darkness, like you can't really see it. I'm like, no. This girl is like motorcycling Kate Winslet's face. You can see all of it. I don't know what they must have had some kind of thing there. There was a thin piece of fabric just keeping probably one from the other. But in the intents of the movie, I mean, it was pretty intense lesbian porn. And I was watching this going, holy shit. I was like, I mean, what's going on in movies, man? I was like, this is more intense than some pornography that I've seen. And it's like, yeah, you kind of look at that and you go, yeah, like you wouldn't have found this in Hard Ticket to Hawaii, and the movie that it's in too is like it's not a silly skin fic. Like the movie that happens in is like an intense movie about a woman who is like actually a lesbian, but like in history they didn't know, and she's responsible for a lot of the like fossils that were found near the shores of England. Hold on. And it's like, it's a serious movie. and then you hit this sex scene where you're like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, so, yeah, it's, Ammonite. That's what it is. It's called Ammonite. It's her and, Saoirse Ronan? Yeah, I can't pronounce it.
I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. I know who you're talking about. I have no idea how the name's pronounced.
So, and basically, like, the Kate Winslet character is a woman that walks the shores, and this, like, man brings her his wife so that she can, like, I guess train her or something like that. I mean, it was essentially a guy who was, like, offloading his wife. And so the two of them are walking the shores, and she's teaching her all this, like, fossil shit. And then it just becomes this incredible romance, right? Which... like, it fascinates me because you're kind of like, well, you can do a torrid romance and not have it go that far. But the fact is they had this torrid romance, and then they were like, fuck it, we're going full porn on this. And they have this, like, just amazingly over-the-top lesbian sex sequence. Which, don't get me wrong, I watched it and I was like, well, I feel like my day is improved, right? But it just feels so... out of place in a like period, dramatic movie. It's almost like it needed to pop its own tension. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just caught me so off guard. Like I said, I thought the damn thing was AI. I was like, this can't be real. And then it was. It was fucking real. So, anyway, but I mean, like, that sex scene today is in this like very, very upstanding, serious movie with like serious actresses and actors. Whereas the hard ticket movies, there is, like you said, this incredible kind of lightness to them where they're like, it was trying to be as lightheartedly Playboy as possible. And like you said, the first one has some kind of rape thing in it. Well, I mean, I don't feel any of that in these.
No, I feel like they figured out, no, we're not doing that again. And I think that was a very smart correction. Because, again, it never gets anywhere near that in any of the movies that we watched. And I don't remember it in any of the other movies either. I mean, nothing anywhere near that first one, which is just gross and cruel and despicable. Yeah,
it's kind of a weird...
I hate that fucking movie. Well, and listen, B-movies and rape, there's a lot of it. So maybe it was the thing where the first one, they were just following what seemed to be a formula. And I can only hope that maybe after they made it, that maybe he and the wife were like, you know what? We're not doing this again. This is what this is what the script that we got had. So we did it because this was our first try at it. But we don't need this, and we're getting rid of it. And they did. And I think
writers?
that's... well, actually, I don't remember. Let's take a look. Malibu Express. No, he wrote and directed that one too.
Oh, interesting.
So again, maybe, and that one's from 85. So in the 80s, a lot of B movies had that. And then Hard Ticket to Hawaii. Yeah, he wrote and directed the next one too. So maybe he made it and realized it was just not what he wanted to do anymore.
Didn't like it.
Whatever the reason, they made the correct decision to never go back to that shit again. So you really never see anything like that again, which is good.
I mean, even though, yeah, because they look like they're having problems in the later ones.
Yeah, but again, I don't remember anything like that. It was
Are they still lighthearted in the 90s ones?
Yeah, they are for the most part. Yeah, I think there's one that when the Son directs one, I think that one gets a little more serious. Because I remember the ones the Son did were not as good. He did 2 of them, and those were kind of more boring.
Yeah.
So honestly, if anybody has looked at these, I would only watch these 3. Don't even bother with the other ones. Because these 3 really do capture all the good stuff. And you can watch them out of order. So you could watch them, you could do Picasso Trigger, Savage Beach, and then Hard Ticket to Hawaii, and it would make no difference. There really is no difference. Because there's no real chronology to it.
No, and honestly, having watched them, I mean, I would watch Hard Ticket before Savage Beach, but I mean, Picasso Trigger... You know what? You can watch Hard Ticket and Savage Beach and be fine. And if you feel like you need more after that, you could watch Picasso Trigger as an afterthought.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, Savage Beach.
I agree. As a perfect double feature, Hard Ticket, Savage Beach, whatever order you want, are a good time.
Yeah.
And I do legitimately think that Hard Ticket to Hawaii theme is fucking amazing. I bought the soundtrack just for that song. And I mean, I've had it on since we watched it at least once a day.
I know you love.
It's great.
You love your 80s stuff. I know.
I do. I know. That song is the perfect sonic capturing of the movie's quality. It's goofy, and it's silly, and it's very enjoyable. So, yeah.
Cool.
And I like the fact that it seems like everybody involved was having a good time, and there's no horror stories I've found, which is nice. A nice contrast to our modern age of Oh, this great movie. Oh, look at that. A horrific behind the scenes story about how somebody was being abused, or the director was a pedophile, or the producer was fucking shooting women and burying them in the basement. Doesn't seem to be any of that stuff in this one. So you know what? Yeah, there's a lot of nudity, but it's harmless enough from what it seems.
Honestly, like I said, compared to today, it honestly feels quaint at this point.
Yep. You know? And few actresses can deliver a line this beautifully.
Is that a snorkel in his pocket, or is he just happy to see me?
And that's not how she speaks through the whole movie. It would be hilarious if that was how she did speak through the whole movie.
And then, in fact, the payoff of the joke is it is a snorkel in his pocket. So they really did just invert the male joke.
That is the level of humor of this movie.
Yeah, he takes a snorkel out. And she goes, "I'm having a bad day." Again, that's what I'm saying. It does not take itself that seriously, which is a good thing. So.
And it makes you want to go to Hawaii.
Oh well, there's an effective use of a razor-bladed frisbee. There is a sex doll assassination in the air by rocket. There's a cancer-infested snake. There is bad old age makeup. There's a surveillance camera with a built-in rocket launcher. These are the things you will see.
Yeah.
And the wonderful anti-Batman utility belts.
Yeah, and lots of Uzis.
And there are lots of Uzis and very strange-looking rifles. Lots of stuff. And they're all free. You can watch them all on Tubi and a number of other services. So
good.
I would say they're worth checking out. And my wife bought me the set. My wife bought me the 12-movie set.
I would rent these, though. I would. I think they're worth renting.
Oh, I agree, but they are there to watch for free. Now, like I said, I bought the Blu-rays. My wife had bought me the set, which was a DVD, and I bought the Blu-rays just to support them further. Those 3 movies because I like them. So by all means, support them. But if you're not sure or you want a flavor of it, you can watch them for free, and then you can decide whether you want to invest a little more, and you can. So it's always good to give people options. It's not like shit's getting cheaper every day. So if you don't have the money to rent them, you absolutely can watch them for free.
Correct. No, you're correct.
And then, if you so choose, you can pick them up on a nicer format, which is I ripped the Blu-rays for what we watched. So we saw these in very, very nice quality. So that old age makeup and all the effort that went into it, oh baby, we saw every pixel of that motherfucker. And it was absolutely worth it. So, on that note, everybody, there you go. 3 movies that are a lot of fun and a lot of skin and a lot of RC cars and other assorted things to smile at and be charmed by. And some really fucking sweet outfits. If you're into big hair and 80s shit, you will get your fill.
Oh god, especially in Savage Beach when that one girl with the red fro shows up in that outfit.
Oh yeah, yep.
Fucking
New
Rocky,
Jersey girl.
The Jersey
Rocky,
girl, which honestly was so funny because I was like, oh, she's kind of cute, and then I was like, oh, she's from Jersey. I was like, oh god,
she sure the fuck is. Absolutely.
Oh man.
Well, on that note, everybody, whatever you do, have a wonderful weekend, entertaining yourself in whatever fashion you choose. And we'll be back again next week with, I don't know, next week, all going to be movies that are new to me. So we'll see. I don't know if they'll be as fun and lighthearted as these, but they'll be Italian. So take from that what you will. On that note, everybody, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again next week. Visit OzoneNightmare.com to subscribe to new episodes, browse through our back catalog, or to find links to support the show. Follow @OzoneNightmare on Twitter for the latest episode postings and other show information. If 280 characters just isn't enough, you can always email us, theozonenightmare@gmail.com. The opening theme for the show is provided by Heartbeat Hero. The closing theme is provided by Ogre. Please visit and support these artists using the links in the show notes for each episode.